great spirits have reincarnated with the purpose of enlightening the educational practices. For Pestalozzi, a pioneer in education, love must be the central stage in education. The child must learn from inside out. So the child is not a blank plate anymore who needs to be filled with lots of information, but an active part of the process of education, whose development stage must be respected.
Piaget, similarly to Pestalozzi, also believed in the development of the child in stages. The first one being anomie, the lack of ethical standards. The second being heteronomy. The standard or the law is external to the self. And finally, autonomy, which is the moral capacity of self-government.
Vygotsky suggested that there is a zone of actual development, which is what the child brings from past experiences, and also the zone of potential development, which is what the child can achieve with the help of another peer.
Howard Gardner, who is a professor from Harvard and is well known by his work on multiple intelligences, argues that we have all these intelligences to develop: musical, spatial, mathematical and logical, linguistics, body and kinesthetic, interpersonal and intrapersonal. But left alone, these intelligences could be used for good or evil. That's why he proposes all the types of intelligence, one of them being the moral intelligence, which must be developed in order to guide the other ones. This is in accordance with what the Spirit of Truth answers to Allan Kardec in question 780, when he talks about the moral and intellectual development both in the individual and in society.
Pestalozzi, Piaget, Vygotsky, among other educators, believed intuitively that the human being is born with many potentials and resources that must be cultivated by the educator as the gardener cultivates the soil.
So what is the education of the Spirit? The name says it all. It is the education, the formation of the character of the immortal being that we are, the Spirit. Its goal is to develop the seed of perfection that the Spirit brings in itself, the interior potentials and the dormant abilities of the Spirit.
It needs to recognize that it is a spiritual being who has a past and a planning for the future.
It requires the understanding of the influence of the para-spirit in the evolutional process of the Spirit.
It requires the knowledge about the tools the Spirit can do to modify its inner structures: memory, conscience, feelings, thoughts, will, and free will.
It passes through our self-education in order to educate others.
Kardec says, education, rightly understood, is the key to our ethical progress. When we can train our moral nature with the same degree of effectiveness as we do our intellectual one, we will be able to straighten a crooked nature surely as we straighten a crooked young tree.
Let's take this opportunity seriously and study for this course. Certainly, we are being assisted by spiritual mentors who second our commitment not only to our own education, but also to the education of others who are redirected towards us.
On children. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the booth from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let our bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable.